Mr. Burson, you've been quoted as saying that you're concerned that the public relations profession currently tends to offer, and I'm quoting here, exquisite answers to the wrong questions. Why do you think that is, and what is the remedy for addressing and resolving the right problems, the right questions?
The answer is in one word: research. I think not enough research goes into defining what the problem is. People who are in public relations generally have quick responses to practically every subject that is brought up, when even the person who has the problem very frequently doesn't know what the real problem is. And I can give you an example. One of the steel companies out in Middletown, Ohio, Armco, which no longer exists as Armco, had a plant in Middletown, Ohio. And it was in the middle of the winter. I got a telephone call from the CEO, and he said, come on out and let's talk about a program to improve the morale in our plant. And I went out there, and he said, you know, I had a couple of walkthroughs through the plant, and it just doesn't seem to be as upbeat as I'd like for it to be. And what I'm doing is thinking about having a family day over a weekend. And I think that will restore the esprit de corps and get us into a better mood. And I said to him, have you done any research on this? And he said, no. I said, you know, I've been in this business 35 years, and I've made hundreds of plant tours, and I just know my people. And I said, I think we should do some research and find out what's really troubling them. He said, oh, I don't want to wait for 6 or 8 weeks to get the results of the research. And I said, let me do 2 or 3 round table with about a dozen people who are selected, and nobody works for anybody else, and these people might not even know one another. And let me see if there's anything really basic that they're unhappy about. We got those people, and each of the groups came up with practically the same responses. There were 9,000 people working at the plant, and the company never had assigned parking spaces, not for individuals nor for departments. And it was winter time, and had been a lot of snow, and some of them, if it came late, they would have to walk the better part of a quarter of a mile or so through the slush to get to their check-in clock where they clocked in. And they were wondering, you know, why couldn't they be assigned parking spaces near where they worked? You know, these rolling mills were almost a quarter of a mile long, and it was a 5-10 minute walk to some of them. And the other thing that they were unhappy about was that the plant was located on a state highway, and getting into the parking lot was very easy. You could come off the state highway. But getting back on it at the end of the shift sometimes entailed a 30 or 40-minute wait until the traffic stopped on the state highway. And they wondered why the company hadn't gotten the state to put a traffic light in front of the parking lot, the turnoffs at the parking lot. So I went back to him and said, you know, what do you think those people are unhappy about the most? And he said, oh, the weather's not been good and so forth and so on. And I said, no, you're 100% off base. And I told him what we had found out with just, 2 or 3 hours of research. And we had the family day and great big cheers after they heard about the parking lot was going to be reconfigured with spaces reserved near where they worked, and also that they would do every effort to get the state to put a traffic light, or a couple of traffic lights into the parking lot. And so, we could have had the picnic with the hot dogs and hamburgers on the basis of, family days without the objective, and it wouldn't have meant anything. So I've gone into situations where you've had comparable things. So I think research is necessary to define what really is the problem. We're primarily problem solvers. No one calls us unless they have a problem. And if you're going to solve a problem, you should know what the problem really is.
Discuss another aspect of the profession, and that's writing. You've often noted how important writing is to the public relations field. And now, of course, we have digital and social media disrupting organizational environments, the media environment, and the profession itself. With that as backdrop, do you believe that writing is as important as it used to be?
I think it's more important. And the reason I think it's more important is that there's not as much acceptable writing as we really need. And my feeling is that writing courses should be intensified just to be sure that the verbalise that you use on a computer doesn't infect what you put on paper that has to go into print and other media. We have one of the, I think, largest intern programs of any public relations firm. This year we'll have probably about 75 people around the country in internships. And we use our intern programs as recruiting sources. We hire probably 40% of the people who come in as interns. And we're finding that the number of really competent writers is severely reduced. And it seems that when we do find one who is a really good writer, that person is the most sought after individual in that category because he or she is a good writer. So I would suggest that writing assignments be made a greater part of the curriculum than it is today, because it's more important. And also, and it's not as available as it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Thank you. Obviously, the profession itself is going through dramatic change, technology, globalization, and I'm wondering your opinion on what we in the profession can expect not to change in terms of the capabilities required to be successful. In other words, do you think there are elements of professional capabilities that are timeless, that will always be important?
I do. I think, for example, teamwork. I think people working as a team. One of the things that we find is that the best results come from when people who work together really are bonded and are working toward the same objective, and they're not prima donnas who want to take over the whole project. We've done various surveys through the years on what are the principal reasons that people are not making the grade at Burson Marstella. We call it their dismissed without prejudice. And we find that it's not that they can't write well. It's not that they are not good thinkers. It's basically they can't work together with other people. My successor came up with a sort of a slogan: we prize the individual, but we cherish and value the team. And that's sort of been a byword that we have lived through for the last half century, I guess. We find every now and then someone and can't work with other people, and we just isolate him or her from the rest of the people and let them do their thing. But the really, I think, major projects that we work on usually requires a team. Our business is a lot different from most of the public relations firms, although the larger firms are having the same experience as we are. And we are very frequently working with companies in 20 to 30 different countries. And what we try to do is to have these people know one another, have them work to the same standards. We do that with training sessions. We spend a lot of money on bringing people together so they know one.
Thank you. A two-part question, if you would, for advice for college students just starting out, what would you emphasize for them if they're currently studying public relations? What can they anticipate as they enter the field? So that's part one. What do they need to focus on in developing themselves? And then part two, for those who are already in the field, could be quite senior, what do they need to focus on to keep developing themselves, and how would they do that?
I think the most valuable attribution that a person coming into a public relations environment can have is to have a wide body of knowledge. That you may not know in detail everything that's about what's brought up as a subject, but at least you know of the existence of the subject. You know enough to speak about 5 or 10 minutes or less about it, and I think it gives confidence to the potential client or employer that you are well-read, that you have a keen interest in a lot of different things, and regardless of what the subject is, you can adapt to it. And I think the only way to do that is to be au courant on the news, and also to do a lot of general reading to indicate that you have a lot of interest. I think curiosity is one of the qualities that public relations people should have. And the more curious, I think, the more likely they are to come up with unique and unexpected solutions to problems. I, for example, probably read 25 to 30 books a year on a variety of subjects, ranging from business to science to travel to both fiction and nonfiction. And I found that the ones who do a lot of reading, also the newspapers, magazines, are generally have greater acceptability and are more convincing to the client or the employer when they bring up different subjects.
Thank you. Certainly in your firm, Mr. Burson, in your professional relationships, you've advocated for the value of mentoring. Do you see a commitment to mentoring as an especially important duty for leaders in public relations, and perhaps even more so than other professionals in other fields?
What commitment to
mentoring?
Oh, yes. I think that I hold up myself as the recipient of some really great mentoring. I don't think I would be where I am if it hadn't been for, a half a dozen or 10 people, including CEOs of some pretty large clients who have taken an interest in me and taught me a lot about corporate life and values. I think that the thing that I am proudest of in my own career is how many people from Burson Marsteller have gone into senior positions in public relations. I think 6 out of the 10 largest PR firms have had Burson Marsteller alumni as CEOs. And that makes me very proud. There's hardly a month that goes by that I don't get one or more letters from a former employee who has just gotten a promotion or a new job, and they would say to me, you know, I would never have been able to qualify for this job if I hadn't been at Burson Marsteller for 8 or 10 years or whatever the thing is. And he said, in fact, I probably wouldn't have had an interview if I didn't have Burson Marsteller on my resume. I think we're the most heavily recruited public relations firm in existence, because they know that if the person doesn't make it with us, we blow a quick whistle. We think it's better for the company, we think it's better for the individual, and we try to be fair in severance pay and things like that. And I've always felt that if we hire somebody and he or she doesn't make it, part of the fault is ours. We hired that person. And I don't think we can put the majority of the blame on the individual for not doing it. We should have asked the question that was going to tell us or flag to us that perhaps this person wasn't the right person.
Fundamentally, it sounds like you're talking about truly taking responsibility for the person.
Right, right. And I think that there was, when I was the chief executive officer, which hasn't been the case since about 1990, there was a saying around the office that if you're going to be let go, try and get Harold to be the one who does it. Because I was the softer touch on their severance and most of the other people in my company. I always felt that we had greater resources than the individual who was leaving, and it was just as much our fault as his fault or her fault. But that, of course, it probably doesn't hold for very many businesses, but that's the way I do business.
Sure. Well, and that, in a way, is part of the mentoring sort of philosophy that you espouse.
Yeah, right.
Very interesting.
Yeah, usually we assigned mentors to groups of people, and we've developed people from being neophytes to being professionals.
It sounds as though mentoring in the way you've run your agency isn't optional. It's not a nice to do thing. It
Yeah.
sounds like a must do thing.
Yeah, right. Right.
I wanted to also ask, so 30 years ago, PRSA founded its College of Fellows to honor leaders in the industry who have contributed professionally and as volunteers in all kinds of ways. And you were a member of the inaugural class in 1989. And this year, the college will be celebrating its 30th anniversary at the PRSA International Conference in San Diego, and would like to ask you to please offer your best wishes for the.
I feel very indebted to PRSA because when I joined, I was one of the original, when PRSA was formed. It started in the late 40s when there was a merger of two different associations. One of them was an association of counselors, and the other was corporate people. And they got together, I can't remember the exact year, but I think 1948 or thereabouts. And I had just started my business in 1946 after coming back from World War II in Europe. And at that time, in the PRSA, its membership was a very distinguished group of people who were the top people in most of the American companies. And I got to know most of them by volunteering to be on committees and task forces. And one or two of the early heads of PRSA more or less took an interest in me and put me in some very choice positions where I could get to know some of these top people. And I think that if that had not happened, I would not have gotten on the track that I did as a leader in the field. And so I've been very thankful for that. I have not been as active in PRSA in recent years because the character of the membership of PRSA has tended to be more of a training development field for younger people who are coming into the profession. And I think I've seen a number of their programs and participated in a few of them. And I think their development programs are extremely good and extremely valuable for the field. So I wish them all that's well. I have supported the PRSA. I find that these young college students, where I have met many of them, are very dedicated and committed and energetic, and we have hired a great number of them. So I think that I would say that our business, our profession is a relationship profession. The more people you know, the more I think you can accomplish, and the quicker you can accomplish it. There seems to be a spirit of cooperation throughout the profession where if someone can help you, they usually will do it.
Yeah, I think that's true. Can I ask you to say congratulations to PRSA's College of Fellows?
Well, yeah, well, congratulations to College of Fellows. It's been, it recognizes the accomplishments of some truly productive and intelligent people. And I think that encourages the standards, encourages the maintenance of high standards and professionalism.
Thank you very much.